With my journey on YouTube spanning over 5 years now, I've gone through many different phases, ranging from Cuphead, to Bendy, to even Piggy.
Hurry! Okay. Got him.
But there was always one that stuck around, FNaF. FNaF was probably the first horror game I was introduced to, and when I was younger, there was always one thing I wanted to do complete, being 50/20. I have since completed that. Yes, a video is on its way, but after I did, I realized I actually liked beating max modes. And that was the day I knew I needed to make this video, and here we are. With that long intro out of the way, you read the title correct. I will attempt to complete 3 FNaF max modes in under 1 month. The rules for the challenge are fairly simple. Rule number 1, you have to complete them all in under a month. Pretty self-explanatory. Rule number 2, they all have to be more difficult than the 50/20. And finally, rule number 3, with every max mode, the next one has to get harder. For example, if I play FNaF to 10/20, I couldn't play something like FNaF 1 4/20. It has to be more difficult than the previous entry. With that being said, let's get into my painful journey and take it to the very beginning. Our first max mode would be Parasitic Pals. I first played with Percy a few months prior to even starting the 100%ing journey. Honestly, great game. I loved every aspect. But there was one thing I really loved. The boss fight. It had super epic music and really good gameplay. So you can tell I was happy to find out that it had a max mode, aka Parasitic Pals. To explain, let's talk about the mechanics and the characters. First, we have the mechanics. We're in a storage room with 5 cameras we can monitor, and the most important item, our Tamagotchi. In order to complete the night, it doesn't work on until the 6 AM frame. Instead, we have 2 minutes and 30 seconds to get 30 points on our Tamagotchi. Once this happens, the next charge will begin and we must repeat this 5 times to win. Back to the Tamagotchi. We have 3 different tasks. The first is this matching game. It's really easy and gives 1 point. The next is the maze, which in my opinion is the easiest. Either way, it gives 2 points. Finally, another easy but more time-consuming task is the fishing game, which gives 3 points. Now, let's talk about each and every character, starting with Percy. Percy has 3 different phases of gameplay he can choose from. The first is not too bad. He will wake up and choose a random camera to show up in. To stop him, we must quickly find him and then find the object he's looking for. Once we find it, just click it to reset him back to the main area. His second phase of gameplay is definitely the easiest. It involves him running up to the door and banging on it. To stop him, we can lock the door and he'll eventually go away. While doing this, he will knock 6 times before opening the door. This is good for us as we can stall him and only lock him on the 5th knock if we're quick enough. His final phase, however, is the most difficult. You see, Percy is actually possessed by this Tamagotchi named Pal. So Pal will randomly come out of the ceiling and begin a small minigame. We have to follow the cup with the ball under it and select it. It'll spin 3 times before stopping. This is really difficult because it's hard to focus while everything else is happening. Next up is Tamalanky, a pretty simple and filler character. If the time runs out and we haven't completed all of the tasks, Tamalanky will grow out of the Tamagotchi and kill us, so just finish the task quickly. Tamaopti is the second of our camera characters. He will start in the main room with Percy and will eventually enter a corner room making this sound. Once this happens, we must find him and use a controlled shock on him. We only have 25 of these, but it's really not that bad. In our office, Tom and Brady will begin banging on the wall outside of our room, and eventually he'll smash through it. To stop him, we must drag the cart in front of the wall on the side we heard it on. Next is Tamarochi. They'll start crawling on the ceiling and will eventually show up on our screen. We must simply throw them off to get rid of them. Just like Percy, we can actually stall them for a while. In order for them to kill us, there must be 4 of them on us. Only 3 will show, but as soon as the 4th one appears, we die. Next up, we got the Poodles. There are 3 of them with different mechanics, so we'll begin with Tim. Not even joking, that's his name. Tim will jump down from the ceiling and will ignore our controls, with the effects getting worse the longer he stays. To get rid of him, we must simply kill him with one of the carts. RIP Tim, bro. Next is Todd. She'll appear in one of our TVs in our rooms. Unlike Tim, the effect won't happen immediately, but after a bit she'll disable some items, which will normally be our door. Finally is Tat. He's our final camera character. He'll appear in a random camera indicated by our vision getting blurry and this sound cue. We must simply watch him for a second and make him go away. If he's there for too long, he will also disable the cards from being used. Next up is Polly. She randomly appears on the ceiling. She has 4 phases. The first is when she's not there at all. The second and third are the same, they just show that she's getting closer. On the final stage, she'll hang down from the ceiling, and to make her leave, we must put down our devices and stare at her. I'm not sure if this is true, but it seems like the longer you keep your devices up, the longer it takes for her to go away. Correct me if I'm wrong though. She too gives quite a lot of leeway, so we should be able to finish a task or 2 when she appears. Our final character is Truman. At some points in the night, he will start playing his ads. We must click his ad to make him go away. He can play his ad on any of our screens, including the Tamagotchi. He gives out 7 seconds before he kills you. Now that we understand each and every character, let's get into the max mode, meaning Parasitic Pals. Parasitic Pals is not just all animatronics that had 20 AI, it also makes us use the hardest settings. Except for one, I'll get into that in a second. As you can see in the custom night, we have 8 different settings to customize. In Parasitic Pals, they make us use the most difficult setting. For instance, we can make the time limit 3 minutes, but in Parasitic Pals, we only have 2 minutes and 30 seconds. The only setting not checked is aggressive AI, but that's a whole other max mode and way more difficult, so a story for another day. Now, let's get into how to complete this mode. Despite this mode being placed 10 spots above 5020, it is really not that bad, only taking me about 45 minutes. I did have a bunch of prep though, so I can't really say. This night doesn't really have a strategy, it's more dealing with things as they show up, but I'll explain who to prioritize this night. First off, playing at our absolute worst, and that will last around 13 minutes. One thing I didn't mention was how after completing the 5th charge, we just survive an additional minute. Our most important thing to deal with is our Tamagotchi. The characters are very needy and give us barely any time to breathe. Coupled with the time limit, we have a few seconds max to complete a task, so you have to make every second count. Like I said before, a lot of characters give a lot of time to deal with them, so it's important to never have downtime and always use it to complete the tasks. When I began Parasitic Pals, I started with 10-10 mode, 10-15 mode, and finally Parasitic Pals. I needed to be fast and accurate, which is something I struggled with in 5020. The main block driver was the frickin' memory game. Trust me, this is very hard to focus on. I did get the hang of it, but it just takes trial and error. I think the reason I beat this so quickly was because I really wanted to. This is my first true max mode and I wanted to make it count, so I did. On stream I managed to complete it fairly easily, only one day after the challenge began. Yes, sir! Yes, sir! Yes, sir! We did it! Oh, let's go. So that section was pretty small because I beat it pretty easily. But bear with me now. The rest of these challenges will be no easy task. First though, if you're enjoying, consider subscribing. It would really help me and it's completely free. I really thought that this challenge wouldn't be too bad, but this severely underrated max mode got me so bad. Let me introduce you to the one, the only, not really. True nightmare. Five Nights at Chuck E. Cheese is rebooted, or CECR, is a pretty popular fan game. I mean, I see why. It looks good and it plays good. Ratings team seriously never fails to make good FNaF fan games. I'm gonna go ahead and explain the main 6 characters and then we'll get on from there. First up, we got the main man, Chuck E. Cheese. As you can see in our office, there are a bunch of paintings that... Oh. Yeah, these aren't paintings. These are actually animatronics. Why are they in the office and not on our stage? No clue, but they are. Chuck will start walking through the pizzeria and will eventually end up in our office. This typically takes around 25 seconds. As you can see, we got this big rickety old gate. The cool thing about this game is the fact that you have to manually close the gate, and the threats won't leave until it's fully closed. When Chuck gets to our gate, he'll say a random voice line.
Happy birthday to you, Saint Cheese. I will not be replaced. Hi there.
Once he does, we must quickly close the gate. He gives about 10 seconds to do so, but the gate takes 4 seconds to close, so more like 6 seconds. On 20 AI, he will leave after 2 frames of the gate being closed, so in other words, instantly. He seems simple, but boy, he will become one of the most annoying characters later. Next, we have Jasper. After leaving the portrait, he'll wander around the building and eventually get in our office. To stop him, we need to use the stage call for about a second. He'll give us around 4 seconds to do this. The nice thing about Jasper is he'll actually leave if his kill timer ends and the stage call is being pressed. So if you're in a situation where the gate is 50% closed and Jasper appears, if you're fast enough, you can survive. Up next is Costume. Costume is the fox of the game, as we need to watch him on the cameras to make sure he doesn't move. Once he arrives at channel 4, he will then go to channel 5, then 3, then 1, then 2, and finally your office. When he gets to your gate, we will be unable to close it as he will stop it with his super strength. Let's go a little more in depth, as this character is easily the hardest. When he first appears after 4 seconds, he'll be in a timer that's in between 4,000 and 5,000. Every time we're off the cameras or don't have costume channel selected, he will decrease this time by 8 every second. If we're on his channel, however, it'll increase by 5. So if we have his channel selected but are not on the cameras, it'll have a total decrease of 3. On True Nightmare, it is imperative that we keep our channel on him every time we exit the cameras. One more thing to mention about costume. If he leaves the channel while we're not watching the camera, then he will not start his timer and will instead wait 5 seconds. If we don't catch him when the 5 seconds ends, he'll skip a channel and move to his next stage. So if you feel like costume is gonna move, always put your camera on his next channel so it doesn't start skipping like a son of a bitch. Next is Mr. Munch. When Munch leaves the portion, he will appear in any of the 5 channels accompanied by one voice line. When he leaves, his sound cue will play, otherwise there's a chance he'll be silent. We must quickly find him as we only have 10 seconds to do so. We don't have to actually watch him, just find him and he'll go away. An annoying thing about Munch is the fact that if the camera gets a signal loss, which is when a character moves, Munch will be protected from being watched. So never rule out a camera if it was just signal lost. Don't worry, Munch will get more annoying later. Next is Helen. After breaking out of the porch, she will appear in channel 5, then channel 3, and then our office. She'll play these sound cues when she arrives and will appear in either the left or right side of our office. However, she won't actually appear or start our kill timer when this sound plays. She'll only start it if we turn back from the gate. From then on, we have 5 seconds to hit the stage call for 1 second to make her go away. Overall, easy character. The next and probably the easiest is Pasquale. He is a bit hard to learn at first, but gets way easier later. At 20 AI, every time we exit the cameras, he has a 50% chance to start tweaking out. When this happens, we have 1 second to click the stage call to make him stop. Easy fix. Just hit the stage call every time you leave the cameras. With that, we have the main takes completed. I started off by completing Nightmare Mode, which is the main takes at 20 AI. It wasn't anything too challenging, it took me about 3 tries. The next 4 characters are unlocked by completing their assigned preset. Let's begin with the second most annoying character, being Modern Chuck E. Cheese, or Modern for short. Modern will walk around for about 15 seconds, and then he will become ready to attack. He has a 1/5 chance to appear, and if this doesn't succeed, he'll just wait again. Modern is very complicated and hard to understand, so I'll try my best. When he arrives at the gate, he'll play this sound cue. When this happens, we have 6 seconds to close the gate, but we actually don't need to close it all the way. You see, when we begin closing the gate, his kill timer will actually speed up. That seems pretty bad, huh? No, actually Modern will leave once his kill timer ends and the gate is closing or closed. So if you hear his cue and you immediately want to deal with him, you only have to close the gate about halfway. But a better way to deal with him is to wait about 5 seconds and then close it about a quarter. This will get rid of him faster and give more time to watch costume. Next, and probably the character that makes the night step up in difficulty, is Bear. Bear will start sitting down outside of the gate. At the first 19-second interval, he will stand up. Once this happens, we have 8 seconds to flash him 9 times. An important thing to note is that every flash adds 1 second to his kill timer. So if we need to deal with Jasper or Munch, we can just flash him a few times and deal with him after. After 15 seconds, if we flash him enough, he'll sit back down. If not, he'll kill us the moment we flash the gate or around 15 seconds later. The annoying part about this character is the intervals and the fact that he can get offset. You see, he'll set up around 30 seconds later, and when I say around, I mean around. It's random. So if he gets offset by 1, those offsets can add up and make him offset way later. That's why Shooter25 created one of the best inventions, the FNaF timer. I won't get into too much detail, but it was created for True Nightmare, so everything is set up. To start it, simply press R, and you can customize however much you want. It displays his intervals, and if he offsets, you can click Q to offset by -1 or E to offset him +1. Overall, a complicated character. Luckily, these final 2 aren't too bad. Munch Jr. will appear every time the cameras are dropped on 20 AI. When he does, he can appear on any side of and every part of the office. To make him go away, just click him. But trust me, it is very, very, very easy to forget about him. If you enter the cameras without clicking him, the next time you exit, he'll appear on your monitor and disable you from entering them. So always find him. Finally, we have Dolly. Dolly will be in our office playing this gas song. We must keep our piano charged throughout the night by pressing Control. If her piano dies, she'll literally eat our stage call. So just press Control the whole night and try your best to have our piano charged about 50% when you enter the cameras. Alright, that was a lot of talking. Now we can get into the actual strategy. Like playing with Percy, then that doesn't really have a strategy, and there are barely any guides that tell you what to do. So I'll try my best to explain, as the first hour is kind of like a cycle. For this challenge, we're going to need a timer. I'll leave the FNaF timer in the description. Beginning the night, we want to wait 3 seconds, then enter the cameras and go to channel 4. Once the timer reaches 4 seconds, the characters are all going to break out of their portraits. So we want to be fast so we don't find Mr. Munch. You might be wondering why I said we don't want to find Munch. This is because we're going to stall him the first time he shows up so it doesn't sync so much with the other characters. Oh yeah, one more thing. This night is so damn RNG. But by doing this, we're going to reduce it a little bit. At around 11.5 seconds, we want to find Munch and go back to channel 4. Now we wait till Jasper and Modern show up. If Modern shows up, deal with him and then Jasper, and vice versa. After this, we should have reached 19 seconds, so flash bear and begin closing the gate. If modern shows up, great, we got him. But what we're really trying to do is close it so when Chuck appears, the gate will close and he'll be gone like that. Chuck will appear every 25 seconds roughly, so we can always predict him on these intervals. After this, deal with Helen because she'll be here by now, and then find Munch Jr. Then Munch will have appeared, so find him and don't stall him. For the rest of the night, we want to watch costume as much as we can and only exit the cameras when we hear either Chuck, Jasper, Modern, for Bear's interval, or if you feel Dolly's piano is going to run out. And never, never, never forget Munch Jr. That's pretty much the whole night, and it seems easy, but yeah, it's really not. Like I said, the RNG is abysmal. But let me explain how I even managed to win. When I began True Nightmare, I didn't know what the hell was even going on. I had no idea what to do in my downtime, so I had to review other people who beat it. Once I got the hang of the first hour, I still didn't even get the hang of it because of the RNG. The one who got me the most was Munch Jr. This dude was always getting me because I always forgot about him. Now I'm gonna be honest, this mode took me a whole 9 hours. Progress was smooth, but when I first reached 5 AM I died, and after that every 5:30 I would die and die and die. This was the biggest roadblock of my life. Caution would always get through in the end, and that really sucked. For a while I didn't think I could do it, so I thought about giving up. But what would that mean? Just because it seemed impossible meant nothing. I needed to do this for myself, otherwise all these hours would be wasted. So I grinded and I grinded until eventually I did it. And here's the sad part of the video. I was not recording, bro. I cannot make this up. I forgot to record. Don't worry, I'll rebeat it in the near future, but for now, here is my second best run. Now that True Nightmare was out of the way, we only had one more to go, and the challenge had only begun 3 days ago. So I was really thinking this was it. Before we get into this, I want to talk for a second. If you guys didn't know, I quit YouTube around a year ago for 6 months. Due to personal issues, my life became a lot worse, and I began feeling bored. Every game I loved felt like nothing. I felt nothing. I knew something needed to change, so I started uploading videos again. I started with FNaF fan games, but around June I decided I wanted 100% FNaF 1. I'd already done it before, so it wasn't a hard challenge or anything. But I read a comment that told me to 100% FNaF 2, so I did. Then I did FNaF 3, and then FNaF 4. By the time I finished FNaF 4, I realized this was actually fun. I was actually having a good time. I didn't care if the videos didn't get many views because it was fun for me. So I beat Sister Location, and then FNaF 6. When I approached 2020, I went all in. I wanted to do this since I was a little kid, so I tried my best. I worked hours straight, and I beat it after 2 hours of playtime. After I completed it, all my worries went away. It felt great, but was I done? This was the first time I had fun in forever, but now it was gone. That was when I knew I wasn't done with max modes. I found the Bones 5 during my 100%ing days, and through him I found the severely underrated Lufu. Watching them play, I felt something, so I did what I wanted. I beat Parasitic Pals, and I beat True Nightmare, and I knew that I wasn't done just yet. If I wanted to prove myself that I could do anything, then I had to do this. I couldn't just go back to being bored. I needed to beat it. I needed to beat Silent Nightmare at Disney. Pirates of Treasure Island is yet another game created by Radiant's team. You know my history with them, so I was a bit skeptical to play this. That was until I found out that this was actually a mod called FNaD but dumb, and that made me trust it more because I am dumb, so I'm gonna explain the characters, and yeah, there are a lot more, but only 4 are actually difficult. So let's begin with Photo Negative Mickey, or PNM. PNM will begin in the storage room and will eventually enter Chem 2 or Chem 6. After this, he will enter the room with this sound cue. We must close up the camera he was just in and wait 3 seconds for him to reset back to the storage room. If you forgot where he was, that's okay, because wherever he appeared in the room shows what camera he came from. Next up is Disembodied. He will appear on a random side of your office screaming in your ear. To stop him, just shut off a camera that's on the side he showed up on. Note, camera 7 doesn't count as any side. For the 15th Foxy character in this video, we have Impurity. She will progress through the cameras starting in cam 3, then 1, then 2, then 6, and then your office. She will also make a sound cue every time she leaves the camera.
Why do I exist? I don't. I'm well hanging around. How am I supposed to be?
When she shows up, a timer will begin at 11 seconds. When this timer ends, she'll move cameras. To stop her, we must close the camera she was on, which will immediately reset her timer back to 11. A Cephalus and Undyne will wander through and eventually show up in our office playing their respective sound cues. To make them leave, we must simply stand still by pressing space on the left side of the office for a Cephalus and stand still on the right for Undyne. Your kill timer will actually pause if you're standing still, so if you need to do something, you can stand still for a second and do it quickly. Oswald will first appear after you drop the camera for the 3rd time. After this, he will show up after every 2 flips playing this sound. When he shows up, just stand still anywhere in the office and make him leave. The Face is one of the harder characters. He will enter the vents in the camera 9 and will make 3 sound cues before entering your office. On the 4th cue, he will show up in your office. The 3rd and 4th cue are almost identical, so if you feel like you just heard the sound, he's probably in your office. When he shows up, we have 5 seconds to turn off the lights. The interesting thing about the Face is that he will pause almost every other office character's kill timer by being in the office. I never personally use this, but I'm sure it's really important. Hourglass is probably the most complicated character. If he appears on cam 3 or 4, you have to shut off a camera. If he appears on cam 5 or 8, stand still. And if he appears on cam 9, turn off the lights. Eventually, he'll show up in your office, and after 6 seconds, he'll get on your desk. Once this happens, we perform the action depending on the camera he was on. But nobody gives a damn, that's way too complicated, so we can instead cheese him. Hourglass gives a bunch of time, so we can start by turning off the lights and standing still simultaneously. If that doesn't work, we can shut off the camera and he'll be gone. Mascot Photo Negative Mickey, or NPNM, will appear in the office and for once won't make a sound cue. However, he'll always sync with Undyne, so when you hear Undyne, NPNM will be there too. To get rid of him, we have to shake our mouse horizontally and he'll go away after a second or 2. His kill timer is also paused during this. Mortimer, aka the Suicide Mouse, will appear around every 10 to 15 seconds. When he does, he'll play this music, which, this kind of reminds me of something. When this happens, we have to search the cameras to find which one has the loudest volume. Once we find it, just shut off the camera and he'll leave after like a second. Classic Photo Negative Mickey, or CPNM, will appear on either cam 3, 1, 2, or 6, indicated by this sound cue. Unlike PNM, there is no way to tell what camera he came from, so we have to rely completely on memory, making CPNM one of the hardest characters. Once he shows up in your office, he'll make this sound cue. Just close the camera he was on and make him leave after half a second. If CPNM was the hardest, Classic the Face is the easiest. He'll appear in your office every 5 cam drops, and to make him go away, you have to lift the cameras back up. Easy. Pete will appear out for about 7 seconds, and we'll give 25 seconds to find him and watch him for 1 second. Forget what I said, Willy is the easiest character. He will appear on any random camera and will switch after a few seconds. If you watch the camera he was on for too long, he'll change a face. His first phase involves just Mickey Mouse, the second one shows him without eyes, and the final one shows him with these damn human eyes. Our final character is Sparky. Sparky will show up in the office with this sound cue. To stop him, we have to shut off the lights and stand still, which will bring him to his second phase. To make him go away in his second phase, we just have to shut off a camera. The good thing about him is that he has 2 different kill timers for each phase, so W. Now that we're finally done with the characters, we're on to our first challenge, being Nightmare at Disney. This is a pretty easy challenge. It did take me like an hour, but I've since repeated it like 4 times. Either way, it's the backbone of Silent Nightmare at Disney, so I need to explain it. NAD has 2 phases of gameplay. The first is the office. This begins whenever we hear Undyne's sound cue. When Undyne appears, NPNM will show up, and so will Cephalus and Sparky a few seconds later. To begin, we want to shake our mouse to get rid of NPNM, then stand still on the right to get rid of Undyne. Finally, we want to shut off the lights and stand still on the left to make Cephalus and Sparky go away. After, we want to shut off the camera as fast as we can so Sparky doesn't resync with the rest of the group. If the face or Hourglass appears during this cycle, just keep it the same except turn off the lights so the face will leave, and there's a chance Hourglass will as well. Now after we enter the cameras, we want to deal with PNM, CPNM, Pete, Mortimer, and Hourglass if the other actions didn't work. CPNM is always the most important, as with PNM you can at least tell by the side he's staying on. Overall, the night went down no problem, and we moved on to the real challenge. Well, you may be asking, if NAD was that easy, then what makes Silent NAD so hard? Trust me, there's a reason this night is 70 places above NAD. I first want to explain why it's called Silent. Silent mode can be activated on the main menu. Every hour, 3 random characters will get buffed. We can tell who got buffed by either listening to the voice lines, seeing hallucinations, or both, depending on your settings. I'll play all the voice lines now.
Want to see my head come off? Please don't hide.
Most of the character buffs are easy to deal with, but I'll explain them anyway. There are only 4 difficult characters, but we'll start with PNM, who happens to be one of those characters. When PNM gets in your office, you have to close the camera and stand still. To make it for the buff, he leaves after half a second. Disembodied now takes half a second to leave after shutting off his side. Impurity will now close off a random camera after 2 seconds of first being closed off. Acephalus and Undyne's hitboxes are now way smaller. Oswald can now appear in your office even without you dropping your monitor. This will get you sometimes. The hardest buff is given to the face, who now requires you to turn off the lights before he enters the office. Hourglass will enter 2 cameras before getting in your office, but the normal cheese still works. Once MPNM enters the office, he will stay there forever until the silent effect ends. After that, he will immediately resync with Undyne. In a nutshell, Mortimer takes way longer to go away. CPNM was the hardest character, and now he's one of the hardest again. CPNM can literally appear on any damn camera, so you have to be quick. Classic the face, and that makes you have the cameras up for 0.3 seconds to make him leave. Pete will now switch cameras every 1.5 seconds. Willie is now on every single camera, but if you click off of it, his timer still resets. Finally, when Spark enters the second phase, his sound cue will play in one ear. We must close the camera on the side we heard it on, and then he will immediately play the cue on the opposite side, which then we must close the camera on that side. So overall, the buffs are pretty hard. Not for the reason you think though. It is really hard to focus on the buffs while literally everything else is happening. Also, most of the voice lines are obvious, but there are like 3 that just sound like so how do we win? It's the same strat as SNaD, except we just have to account for the buffs. Since they're random, we can't create a cycle, so we just have to play it by ear. In my opinion, the face is the hardest.
No, bro! Why? Why?
But yeah, there is also one more thing to silent mode, being the new power mechanic. Basically, every 6 seconds, one usage is added, and after that, every 3 seconds, another one is added. To stop this drain, we must shut off a camera with the green dial, which we set the usage to 0. It's recommended to shut off during a can cycle, before an office cycle, and after an office cycle. Now that that's out of the way, how did I do this? I needed to get used to the buffs and the cues. I completed Silent 1510 mode and then Silent 1515 mode, so I thought I could beat this, but something was stopping me. There is one more thing I didn't mention. At 5 AM, every character gets buffed for the remainder of the night. This was easily the biggest block in progress. I couldn't get past it. Eventually, I realized I wasn't that good with SNaD in the first place, so I completed it 3 more times. But still, something was missing. So I tried an hour a day for a week. I didn't spend nearly as much time as True Nightmare, but I already felt like I couldn't do it. But one day nothing was clicking. I wanted this to be done so extremely badly. I wanted to quit so badly. But there was something telling me in the back of my mind, you can't quit. If you do, this will all be for nothing. So I needed time for reflection. Why did I start this challenge in the first place? Would I have started if I knew it would be like this? The answer was yes. I had gone from playing an hours a day to 10 minutes, but I still wanted to beat it because I was still having fun. This couldn't be the end. No, it was just the beginning. I got on and I played with the mentality I wouldn't get off until I had won. This needed to end. I did everything. Everything. I couldn't go back. I just had to move forward.
god, yes! Oh my god, yes! 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 Oh my, yes! Yes, bro! Yes!
So yeah, I know this isn't a normal video, but I enjoyed making it and I hope you enjoyed watching it. I know it seems silly, but this video meant a lot to me. I wonder what you guys thought of it if you made it this far. This isn't my traditional video, so any kind of criticism would be greatly appreciated. One more thing, I'm searching for new max modes. You guys want me to try any? Go ahead and let me know in the comments. I plan to continue my journey and I hope you guys can do it with me. This is one small step for us. Please make sure to like and subscribe. Have a great day. Bye guys.